Is that right? Everyone okay with that? So first of all, going to welcome Comrade Miriam, and before you give her a big round of applause to welcome her, listen, I'm 45. 20 years ago, me and some comrades ran a very pioneering and had a significant influence, radical anti-colonial input into the anti-war and pro-Palestine movement. It was called the Nylander Youth Brigades. And no one helped us. Nobody, well, Leila Khalid helped us a little bit, hence our name, Nylander, and respect to Commandante Leila Khalid. And I say that very proudly and openly. If you want to come and get me for it, come and get me for it. But anyway, no one assisted us who were older than us at the time. Nobody. We were people in our late teens, early 20s. We did incredible things, all off our own backs. And we do not want the young people to go through what we went through. And that's what we've generally seen this last 6 weeks. That young people, it's great to see them enter for the first time. Amazing. But who's protecting them? Who's guiding them? You bring them onto a protest on this level of racism, this level of state intimidation, this level of racist attack on protests. It's not acceptable for us that we just say, yeah, come, and just let them be in a vulnerable state relatively. And we are only meager in our resources, but we are committed to helping these brave young people enter it. And in that regard, we only met Comrade Miriam recently, and you probably realize why she talks like the way she talks, because her mother also talked in the room just very shortly before. So we are coming from intergenerational revolutionary families, a lot of us, from the global south, from Algeria, from India, from West Africa, right, etc., and other people in other parts of the world. So we support these young people. We support the global south diaspora who are anti-colonial and brave and informed. Please welcome Comrade Miriam. Thank you.
First of all, thank you everyone for coming. I hope everyone here that came here has in his mind or her mind or their mind and their heart freedom for Palestinians and the will to do anything that they could in their power to help out a Palestinian in Palestine. Our protests, I'll say it quite honestly, have not led us anywhere so far in the past weeks. There's been 6 weeks or more into this genocide. We still haven't put enough pressure on this government to come out and say, yep, we are for a ceasefire, or we are here to end the war or to end the occupation, or let's cut the ties with Israel. Smaller countries like Bolivia started off in front line on cutting off ties with Israel. Let's be honest, what do we benefit out of a country like Israel? What do we get out of it? If anything, our tax money gets to them. I'll give an example of America. America, healthcare is not for free. People pay for their healthcare and they suffer a lot. Israel gets free healthcare. How? Paid by the tax that gets paid of American workers, just like us. So how do we call that fair? Why do we want the state to keep on going? What does it benefit us as people? It benefits only them in the government and the higher up people because it's a cover for them. It's a cover, or it's their way to get their business deals, or their way to spy on the Middle East and always cause disruption in the area. We as people, Arab people, North Africa or from the Middle East, we never want wars in our countries. We're not barbaric like they portray us as. Oh, these people only like to destroy, they're never happy, they like to protest, or they're extremists. We're not like that. We're none of those people like they like to show us in the media as. We're just people, in fact, that just want our freedom, our rights, get on with our lives, get access to education, do great things in the world. In fact, we have strict parents that force us to do things like medicine and lawyers. So how are we people that want to cause destruction in the world? Every Palestinian that has been killed had a dream. They're not just numbers that are getting killed. I had someone outside just tell me before coming here, oh, if Israel's committing a genocide, how are Palestinians growing? Keep on growing. Such a gruesome, disgustingly comment you get. Had it been with somebody else, they wouldn't have gotten away with it. But because it's an Arab they're saying it to, it doesn't matter really to this country. We've seen it. People work in the government, they openly hate Arabs. They openly hate Muslims or people of ethnic minorities. How is that allowed in a state where we claim human rights and equality? And what the current situation in Palestine is not complicated, it's as simple. I come from a colonized once country, now it's free. So for me, I believe yesterday was Algeria, tomorrow is going to be Palestine. And me saying from the river to the sea, it's not a genocidal comment. I'm not saying all the Jews die or get out of the land. I just want Israel as a state to disappear. It's simple as that. I don't want far-right people like Netanyahu and his friends being in control and every day doing weird patrols, taking people to prison. In fact, we are so focused now on Gaza in the media. Let's not forget our brothers and sisters in the West Bank, Ramallah, Jenin, what's happening to them. They're forcefully going to prison on an accusation, oh, you're supporting terrorism, just because they like to post supporting Gaza. That's how bad it is. Children in school, they get intimidated by settlers. Settlers come into your house and be like, this is my house now, it's not your land anymore. How do you feel? And then we get some privileged people saying, oh, they should accept a two-state solution, or they should accept this. They should be able to we can't. We're not feeling their pain. No matter how much we try and see it, we're not exactly living it. We're not here. We can't judge how they should react to things or how they should accept things. I'm sorry, but if I go back, Algeria was colonized, people were killed. It was over 1.5 million of people killed fighting for their freedom. And they called them once terrorists. And that specifically, I can give you an example, FLN, Front Libéral National.
Wow.
And now it's being the same. Every resistant force around the world gets called terrorists. We should not drink into their propaganda. We should look at things and analyze them, critically think, which is something that they don't teach us quite well in school. They only teach us to critically think within their boundaries. But when it comes to real life, we're not meant to. We're meant to just sink in and accept information that gets given to us. Biased media information. It's not impossible, again, for free Palestine. And when we say, again, from the river to the sea, I'm not saying a genocidal comment. It's normal. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, and it will be, sooner or later. Netanyahu is playing a losing game. It is a losing game for him. Even the Israelis are turning against him. And we can see there's been protests. He doesn't care about the hostages. And this deal that they've done, the pact of 4-day peace, you're going to see how they're going to come back at the Palestinians afterwards for it. They're just going to bring more weaponry, more machines to kill, and more artsy ways to kill people, like we've seen. Rockets with blades, not only to kill, but to amputate and completely disfigure you, so that if you get found, you're found in pieces. How is that allowed? How is that not described yet as a Nazi crime? It is. Yet again, we get called Nazi people. How is that normal? Like, how is that so normalized? And I wish, like, every single one of us, just let's think of how, like, we're resisting for the Palestinians. Are we doing enough for them? Are we really representing them enough on these grounds? I feel like us sitting down and accepting that we can't protest in front of the Israeli embassy, which should be our main target, is insane. And how it got accepted, I don't know. We weren't even questioned or allowed to have a say on it. Just people at the top somehow agreed to it. But how are we putting on pressure? I'm sorry, but protesting just every day around Mansell Way to Westgate is not going to cause much pressure on them. They don't care. They're going to be like, oh, they can shout today. Tomorrow they're going to go quiet. Let's just do whatever we want to do. And then when they're going to act, when all people are dead, they'll be like, oh, yeah, okay, we demand a ceasefire now. It's too late. You've already caused so much damage. And how are you going to expect those children that have lost their families or just one surviving child, how are you going to expect that child to just accept it and want peace with a country like Israel? Like, he's going to see, not naturally, Israel is going to be my enemy because it killed my parents. My parents have done nothing to them and it still killed them. It killed my family. It killed my pet. It destroyed my house, destroyed my school. We're seeing it on media. Now we even have a war on media to fight, where Meta is trying to silence everyone. Twitter banned from the river to the sea, X now. And they promote freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is a lie that we've been fed these days. We are free to speak only when it speaks of hatred. For example, in France, when Emmanuel Macron, on the Charlie Hebdo situation, he was like, yeah, they are free to speak. They should be allowed to do whatever, insulting the prophet. That's fine. It's their freedom of speech. But now, if you go to France and say something like outrageous or like for resistance or like to defend the Palestinians, you could be sent to prison. So where's the freedom of speech? It's double standards. It's only one-sided. In Ukraine, we were allowed in schools to wear Ukrainian flags. We were even encouraged to donate. Now, when it came to the Palestinian cause, we're not even allowed. We're neutral. We're meant to be neutral in this stance or pro-Israeli. Or else we're terrorists, we're extremists, and we're barbaric. And we don't know history. Everyone, I hope like you go home and you just reflect and find out ways where we can just resist more for our Palestinian people, because they're dying. They can't afford our silence. They can't afford us just accepting these bullshit rules that we're getting from this government. They can't afford it. Every action we should do, and I think together, when everyone forms together, unite, no matter if we're going to disagree on certain things, it's okay, but we're all united on one thing, a free Palestine. Together, we can do it. We can close them down. We are people, we have strength. If they're going to see 100 people standing next to the Israeli embassy, the police are going to look at it like, where am I going to start from to like take them to jail? They will take 3 too, but they can't take everyone. We have to stop being so scared of these governments. In the end, we pay our taxes, they serve us. We're not here to just be like sheeps and lambs, just saying yes, 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 or whatever, and I'll vote for you next time. These MPs that have voted against the ceasefire, we actually have to boycott them. And when I mean it, not attend whatever they're going to do in their communities, not going to vote for them. We want them out. They're inhumane. Thank you.
Miriam can chant the lyrics and very articulately and well informed. Brilliant stuff, Miriam. And all power to you and your generation. I know some of your colleagues are in the room. Big up the Libyan Massive and others as well. So yeah, particularly big up the Libyan Massive. But in terms of Algeria and the FLN, played such a leading role with the connection with South Africa. Madiba himself, Nelson Mandela, got military training from the FLN in the late 50s. The pictures are all on the internet now. They were released after his passing. And so right from the north, from Libya and Algeria, from the Jamahiriya and the FLN Algeria, right down to the south, to South Africa, and also to Namibia and Zimbabwe and Mozambique, there's a unity across Africa. And on that, the next speaker is very fitting, and big it up, Miriam, you're fantastic. It's I'd like to welcome our local comrade, actually, Femi Nylander. And you, Oxford, you're very lucky to have such a great guy in your locality like Femi. You know, I've got to know Femi recently, relatively recently, although I've known him around. He's an accomplished, and I think award-winning even. We don't like celebrities here, bro. We don't like celebrities here, I'm joking. But he's done some fantastic film work and advocacy around Niger, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, Femi is like really like informed, creative, inspiring, but more importantly in all of that, humble brother at the grassroots. And that's what we don't like, these people who you can't access and they want to be celebrities and all this narcissism. So Femi is going to talk exactly to the point, these themes that we're talking about in terms of the African context. So please, a big welcome to Femi Nylander to us.
So I'll start with a little poem. Hopefully I'll remember it, because I haven't got it up on my phone at the moment. To the children of Gaza, to the martyrs, who never got to participate in their intifada, to those under the rubble, befuddled and framed, blamed for the crime of bearing Palestinian name, rain falls of phosphorus, forbidden atrocities, odyssey of struggle embodied in buried bodies, the mass graves and hypocrisy. What is the point of policies and institutions when the mask falls off of the underlying hypocrisy which embodies the wealth which the West pulls off of the corpses of children? All of the oil of the Middle East strategically placed pirates, feeding America's greed. May the voices of their victims haunt them in their sleep. May the deceased they devalued wake them from their dreams. May they be weary, such that they have no rest. See, to live in falsehood and hatred, may they sow what they reap. Those who never have the joy of understanding, who hide behind lies and deceitfulness for fear of dismantling a worldview steeped in falsehood and corruption, a shallow devotion to theft and seduction, a Starbucks sip and a Westgate trip, but no fellowship only shallow corruption.
Wow.
Very close to the
There's 2 seats at the front,
Yeah, there's some...
and I can see 6, 7 people at the back, including an 11-year-old and his mom. They're okay? Okay. Take a seat. Nice one, bro. There's one seat over here. Welcome, bro. Welcome. Nice one. Continue, Femi, sorry.
No worries. Also, I wanted to read some words from Susan Abulhawa, the best-selling Palestinian author, to the point about unity between different minority communities or global majority communities. Zionists are pushing a new line of propaganda aimed at breaking black solidarity with Palestinians. The narrative goes something like this. The only reason Palestinians are getting attention is because they're not black, which is not true because Palestinian society is multiracial. Just look at the millions killed in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Look at Sudan. Look at Tigray. So I want to point out that in fact, Israel is at the heart of the genocide in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Israel has been arming and training militias in Rwanda and Uganda to maintain the violent chaos that facilitates mineral extraction by the West from Congo's mines. The M23 militia is the primary culprit for the devastation in the DRC. They've received surveillance software, military hardware, funds and training from various Western states, and especially Israel. Furthermore, Israel not only cheered for the assassination of Patrice Lumumba, the first democratically elected president of Congo, but they helped prevent bringing his murderers to justice. Israel helped maintain the horrifically oppressive rule of Mobutu Sese Seko for decades. A contingent of Israeli armed and trained paratroopers were the backbone of Mobutu's suppression throughout the Congo. Dig deeper into any atrocity across Africa, and you will find Israel. From the Rwandan genocide, Israeli arms dealers boasted about supplying weapons to Hutus, to the genocidal diamond extraction industry, or any other extractives in Africa. It's fine if you don't want to speak up for Palestinians. It's a whole other level to go on social media to explain why others shouldn't either, at the hour when the equivalent of 2 atomic bombs have been dropped on the most densely populated place on Earth. So, I think that's a key point. Israel functions, as we know, as an arm of Western policy in many ways. There's a famous video from a few decades back when he had more hair of Joe Biden saying, if Israel did not exist, we would have to invent an Israel. We would have to invent an Israel because it is key to our strategic policies in the region. And of course, Israel does play a role. I mean, having military bases all over the world is a lot easier when you don't have to have 120, 130 military bases. You can just have one state with loads of weapons, hiding nukes, but pretending they don't have them, this, that, and the rest, and place it there. So it plays a big role in that regard. And as that, it has tentacles out. It's a huge weapons manufacturer in its own right. It does all sorts of dodgy stuff, and it spreads its tentacles far and wide. And the Western policy of global white supremacy is something which is global, something which spreads its tentacles across Africa, across Asia, across the Middle East, and will only be defeated by a unified approach. And so when you have Umar Johnson, these kind of hoteps saying, why should we care about Israel? Why should we care about Palestine? This, that, the rest. Palestine is disheartening because the place we should be coming from is a place of solidarity, a place of unity, and a place of understanding that all of these things are interrelated and interlinked. I think that's the key place where to start. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, big it up, Femi.